Hello?
Come on.
Hello?
It is the Riot.
Hello?
Welcome to this podcast.
Inside today's podcast, something that you won't care about, but you're going to feel it. Like when you're listening, you're like, there's just a lot of unity today. I don't know what it is. There's a real coming together. They just seem to be on the same page.
Is that what you're going to get from today?
Yeah, because Nikki and I woke up and wore the same outfit.
We did.
Jeans and RadioU sweatshirts.
Are you wearing flip-flops?
I got shoes on.
Come on.
You know, I've kind of given up on sandals.
Why?
I'm not sure, but I just...
Even your little sliders and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I still have them, but I just keep wearing shoes.
I can't do it. I hate socks. I hate shoes.
I don't blame you, but I don't know what happened. Like something somewhere, I just started wearing shoes.
Let's wait until when it hits 100. And
yeah,
then
I mean,
we'll see what happens then.
Might change. So let's see. Today in the podcast, we talk about Nikki's dog coming back from camp. We're a week late on that.
I want to mention, though, we are wearing the same...
I'm doing my thing right now.
RadioU. You just didn't finish, I don't feel. We can plug it. We can plug it, and you're missing the plug.
Okay, let's do it.
We are wearing the same RadioU crew sweatshirt.
Yeah, we are.
Which you can find through shop.radiou.com
yes,
if you want one too. Or you can check out our other RadioU merch that you might not have realized we have. Again, go to shop.radiou.com. We've got pop sockets, tank tops, sweatshirts, beanies, snapbacks. Everything's located there.
And are you done?
may continue
now.
No,
you're missing it.
What?
You're missing it. I don't know. I just wanted to say that. So let's see. There's that. We talk about pizza and grocery shopping, throwing away all your lettuce. Thank you. Varsity letters for video games, me watching a movie and then Nikki having a problem with that. Then we talk about emotional maturity.
Which goes hand in hand.
It's all together. Stealing tortillas.
Fajitas.
I still put it as tortillas. Why can't I get that right?
I don't know why. He stole the whole thing. The whole fajita.
What do you like in it? See, I don't like fajitas very much because people always put onions in them.
Yeah, that's a big filler in that.
It is, and that's all it is. It's
but I
filler.
don't mind it. I normally like a shrimp fajita or chicken.
I'll take but see, I just want what is essentially a chicken taco.
And that is not what they're giving you because they're going to fill it up with the green peppers are also low on the list.
You know what? I can handle pepper. I mean, peppers over onions for sure.
Any day.
But, I mean, I'll take a green pepper sometimes in a salad, but I'll cut them up so they're not huge.
The place we go to here, if I get fajitas there, I never eat the onions or the vegetables.
Yeah.
And they're always like, do you not want... I'm like, I do not want those.
No, keep them.
I was just there for the protein part of it.
What I really want is us to just right now get in the car and drive to Nashville and eat at Taco.
Aww.
The San Antonio Taco Company.
Is it still there?
Well,
the one closed down, so I wasn't sure.
One of them closed down, but the one on Vanderbilt, as far as I know, is still there.
I mean, if one's closing...
Man,
I'd always be worried.
If they do close, how do I get? I got to get recipes.
The list that we were talking about.
You know
we have gotten sidetracked. Is there something else from the show?
I'm sorry. So
enjoy the rest of the podcast.
You guys don't do drugs and stay safe.
Okay, he's covered everything important today.
That's it. It is the Riot.
The worst of the Riot has no expiration date. It's born spoiled. It's the Riot on RadioU.
I'm officially 1 week late on this. 7 days. But I have to ask, Nikki, we never talked about how your dog reacted when you finally picked him up from boot camp.
My dog Rolo.
I was thinking about that last night where I was like, man, we never actually talked about what happened.
Just the fear of, I took my dog and...
to a hate camp.
No, it was a 2-week training camp, like a boot camp. You take your dog if you hate it. It's not. It's just his particular breed really could use some help with training.
And they worked really hard to take his personality out.
Kind of, just to kind of squash that.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of going back and forth like with a trainer that takes like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, you just take your dog and goes lives with the trainer along with other dogs and trains like in a condensed sort of faster time. Oh my gosh, when I picked him up, he was then like kind of afraid. He didn't want to leave our side because he was kind of like,
don't leave me again.
Please don't leave me. But I was so proud of him. He is super trained. Like he knows, like even settle. Like if you just say, hey, settle, he'll just settle down and calm down. It's very weird to hear him respond to words that meant nothing before.
Feels like something that your parents would like to do to you.
I know, like, settle, will you?
That's okay. We'll just take you right on off to camp.
Knows all this stuff and doesn't pull like all the dog things he wasn't supposed to. So I was very, very, very impressed. And he slept, because usually he sleeps in bed with me.
Yeah.
He slept in bed and was super tired for like 3-4 days.
Yeah.
And then he finally perked up, but he was exhausted.
Well, it's a lot of mental energy that gets used.
Yeah. So I was really glad that he went to doggy boot camp, but I was really sad because when I picked him up, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so tired.
Yeah. He was learning a lot, Nikki, and that's not normally his thing.
It's like when you were forced to go to summer school, you just had to go and you didn't want to.
I thought about it. I think it must have been over the weekend. I didn't watch a bunch of it. I was watching part of this documentary that was like Scream School, basically. They
yell at you.
Yeah, it was for people who are like, you're addicted to your phone. Well, we're going to take care of that. And like they put you in this boot camp thing and they rob you of your phone and then they make you march and like do all this stuff. And then when their parents come back and get them, they're always like, I'm very sorry for the way I treated you, mother.
I'm never going to do this again.
I will never do this again.
Yeah, that's pretty much how he's been.
Just like, man, they just stripped the spirit right out of him. He's not the same now.
That's right. So I've been proud of him, but it was quite sad just to see him until he perked back up again. I thought, what did I do to you?
When you get him in the car, does he get nervous?
Now?
Like where are you going to take him?
No, not really. He's calmer now.
He's buried the trauma?
He's not as anxious.
Okay.
So, which is exactly what I needed him to be.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Final thought, final question. Do you think that he is slowly planning to murder you?
No, I do not.
He's maintaining a front of everything's fine.
No, but
he's really just studying your patterns.
There's so much pressure though to like be worried that you're untraining him because you're like, oh well, like he has to wear a collar that goes with this training. You're like, well, I didn't put it on until this time today, or you just know slowly. You're like, I'm probably ruining this all.
Well, you can always take him back.
Yeah, not for the price. It is what it is.
You say so.
Yeah, but he's done very well. Very proud.
Okay, good. So, anybody else you want to drop off there?
To the camp? I don't know. What are you doing for 2 weeks?
Hey, man.
You want a 2-week break?
If you're telling me the most I have to do is sit or stand.
Settle. You could totally do that.
No problem.
You're like, I'm going.
I got this.
You've got to hand it to Obadiah and Nikki. Anyone can eat junk food all day.
Where's my food?
But they've figured out a way to get paid for it. The Riot on RadioU.
Let's talk about your sick Overwatch skills.
Oh, it's very good.
Let's talk about your Fortnite impressiveness. How many times have you won? Man, I didn't know you could count that high. Wow. If only you could get a varsity letter in playing video games, then we'd all be impressed. Oh, maybe you can.
You can letter in video games?
Ready for this? There's a company called Play Versus that has officially partnered with the National Federation of State High School Associations. That's the NFHS.
If you didn't know.
Them. But the NFHS organizes education-based athletic activities around the country and is a national, quote, this is their quote, is the national leader in streaming high school sports online. Well, now they're saying
that was ESPN 20.
Well, maybe the NFHS partners with ESPN 20 in order to make that happen. Well, they are partnering with PlayVersus, and the two of them together are bringing eSports to 15 states this fall. So is your state in? I don't know. You'll have to do some research. But they will allow, and this is kind of interesting, they've got 3 categories, and schools can basically get in on this for it's not like it costs a lot, and you don't have to break the teams up based on gender or age or anything. Like anywhere 9th through 12th grade, everybody together, they can play one of the esports categories, or they can play all of the esports categories. There's going to be a lot of flexibility for what they do.
They kind of want people to actually join in, so they're going to make it as flexible as possible.
So they'll have 3 kinds of competitive genres at first. Multiplayer online battle arena. That's a MOBA. So think League of Legends, Dota 2. If you don't know what that is, don't worry. It's not for you.
It's fine.
Fighting games. So like Street Fighter. What's the other one everybody's playing right now? The Dragon Ball Z. That kind of stuff. And then sports games. So that's where they'll start. It's interesting, though. No Fortnite, no PUBG in this list.
That's because if you're already playing that, you probably wouldn't come in to take part in this team event. It's too long. It's too much.
It's entirely possible.
It's just too advanced.
Oh, yeah. The other hook that I thought was cool is that just because you don't have to have just one team at your school. So if it's like, hey, we got this team of 5 people, and you're like, well, you didn't make the varsity video game team, so you're out.
There's junior league.
Well, they're saying that high schools can have as many teams as they want. So even if you don't make Team A, you can be Team AA or whatever the heck you want to name it. But that was kind of cool.
Then you can letter in it?
15 states. And yes, you'll be able to letter in video games.
When you were in a sport, lettering was nice at the time.
Yeah.
And then what you realize is when you're out of the sport, it's just something else you decide a few years later if you're supposed to keep or not. So, it's good at the moment.
Nikki, that's everything you just described is all of high school.
It's true.
Prom seems like a really big deal at the time. I got to plan my promposal. I have to receive my promposal.
You just feel like, am I supposed to keep the letter or not?
And in your first year of college, you're like, oh, you can't have out any of your high school memorabilia in college. It all has to go away.
Well, then it looks like you haven't moved on.
It's just one of those things. But it doesn't mean you can't have fun while you're there.
True.
I'd want my varsity video game letter.
Nice to get recognized when you put in the effort and you join a team.
At this point, I feel like I deserve an honorary letter.
You do. You get an honorary degree.
The part that keeps me up at night, we paid them for this. It's the worst of the riot on Radio U.
I'll tell you what, today I'm proud. I feel like I'm really being validated today in a way that I haven't been validated in a really long time.
And how is that?
Well, finally, there's somebody else out there that's sending the same message I've been sending my whole life, and that is throw out all the romaine lettuce.
I love romaine lettuce.
No romaine lettuce.
This is the worst that I could hear.
Finally, some people are with me. We're together.
Hey, just because you could stomach spinach and you don't like romaine lettuce, I don't know why I can't still have mine.
Well, I'll tell you why. E. coli.
They're saying that a massive multi-strain, state outbreak of E. coli 0157H7 has been in romaine lettuce. And so the CDC...
Not the H7.
It's that one. So the CDC has said because it's been so bad that at this point they're now calling anyone and everyone, because it's hard to track down and realize if yours was a part of the initial recall, where you're supposed to throw it away.
It's not like they're stamping the lettuce.
Exactly. So it's hard to figure that out. So they're saying if you have romaine lettuce, you're just supposed to throw it out.
Yes, you should.
And you know what? I love Caesar salad, and you can't do that with anything else.
Don't buy it again. Don't buy it again. The romaine lettuce can't be trusted now.
I don't know how you don't like romaine lettuce. It's one of the nicest ones.
It's not. It's offensive. It gets in my mouth. It's all...
Well, now I get nothing. But currently there's 53 individuals who have reported illnesses associated with that outbreak, which has the largest concentration in Idaho and Pennsylvania.
Oh, states that are right next to each other. So,
well, I don't know how that happened.
No big deal. Okay. Now, you're not going to like what I'm having to say, but I want you to just hear me out.
Yeah.
All right? What are you eating salad for? Probably trying to lose weight, right?
Well, if not, you're supposed to have some greens, so that's usually the best way you stomach it.
My guess is that once you pick up this E. coli thing, you're just dropping weight.
You normally say that, but not with this particular one. It's dangerous. I think this is coming from Yuma, Arizona, which is where the contaminated lettuce has been coming from. It has general symptoms, which I won't repeat. And most people, it takes about 1 to 10 days of exposure. You'll start feeling the effects of it.
Oh my gosh! So you're telling me I could have had my Caesar salad over the weekend,
and you won't know for maybe up to 10 days.
I could start with the vomiting and stomach cramps on Wednesday.
Yes, it can take some time for it to actually show, and they're just saying again, if you have romaine lettuce, just throw it out.
Izzy says I'm an iceberg guy. Actually, I hate iceberg lettuce. You know what? I don't like lettuce. I'll eat myself some spinach.
But that's the worst. How are you eating that?
You're wrong.
Iceberg is great, too, because then if you find the crunchy parts, like the ones where it's like the end piece, I love that stuff.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I can eat it. I can go to Wendy's and get a salad, but...
Well, spinach is normally a carrier of sometimes potentially bad outbreaks.
You mean powers?
No.
Yeah, that's right. All the iron and minerals I need to be Popeye-like in my strength.
And that's probably why I can't, because I normally get this Caesar salad thing from Costco, the bag of it.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to find it in a while. I bet you that's why.
They pulled it.
Maybe.
CDC is like, do the right thing. Throw away all the romaine.
The lettuce. Well, if you're like me and that was the type of lettuce you gravitated towards, you get nothing.
Yeah, so even if you have some, they're saying throw it out. And if you go to the store and they haven't pulled theirs, don't buy it. I don't know when it will be safe to buy it, but I mean, your best bet is to never buy it again.
They're saying for 5 to 10%, because this E. coli outbreak has been so bad, it can develop into another condition, which takes about 7 days after the symptoms appear, which could be 10 days.
Hemolytic uremic syndrome.
And you can have it impacts your kidneys to the point where you can have organ failure.
Dang.
So it's serious.
Yeah. So, and remember, brought to you by romaine lettuce. So
now you can't trust it for quite some time.
I can't trust it. I just can't. I won't.
And it's always because it was like grown in poop. That's always how it is.
That's exactly it.
It is what causes it.
Want to know what the Riot is doing right now? Follow them on Instagram and Twitter at riot.radiou.com. It's the worst of the Riot on Radio U.
You know, over the weekend, I revisited some wisdom that was presented to me in some formative years of my life. And the wisdom that I'm talking about is how to do your grocery shopping. I had a friend of mine that on Sunday night, he would order 1, sometimes 2 large pizzas. And he would be like, well, that's my grocery shopping.
That's the whole weekend.
And so he would then proceed to have pizza for 2 meals a day, usually through Wednesday or Thursday, based on the stuff that he ordered on Sunday night. And I want you to know that Friday, I was like, well, time to do some grocery shopping.
Just order pizza.
Yeah. And so and man, that's a really cost-effective way to live.
And if you order the right stuff on top of it, I mean, then that's kind of like you're getting a well-rounded pizza.
I don't know what you mean by that.
You mean like different veggies on top?
Yeah. What? Let me get some iceberg lettuce, some romaine.
I'm not rolling the dice with that.
Is that what you said? Is that what you're saying?
It's too much E. coli with that.
That's exactly right. You know where I'm not getting E. coli is when I get myself some cheese and some pepperoni.
That's it.
Besides, Little Caesars, like their price break.
Is that what you got for the weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel like that. That pizza, the price is what allures you to it. But, man, it does not hold up well.
What's hilarious about this Little Caesars pizza that I got, again, $5, is that they're like, this is our thick crust. I was like, bro.
That's not.
Listen, this is this is thin crust. The only way it's getting any thinner than this is if you have a no crust option.
Which is popular nowadays.
Dang, there's nothing here.
Maybe they gave you the wrong one.
No, I didn't look at it until I got home, so it was just like whatever.
I think it deflates a little bit too.
That could be. So it was like
once it hits the air.
It wasn't Friday, it was Saturday. So it was like Saturday around 4:00 pizza, 9:00 pizza, Sunday morning pizza with a cookie, and then Sunday lunch pizza.
How's your stomach?
I feel fine.
You're doing sometimes when you eat pizza, you hum along. Like you just do great.
I'm telling you right now, eating pizza is me. Like I'm living my best life when I'm just eating pizza. My body's like that. Just more of this, dude.
Well, what are you gonna eat today? More pizza, or are you done?
No, I brought a microwavable breakfast sandwich, and then this morning for breakfast I had 3 eggs.
Okay.
That, like, I have found, there for a long time, I was like, eggs and toast. No, ditch the toast, eat another egg. That's the way to go.
That's where you're drawing the line?
Well, Nikki, I can't have all those carbs. So, I can't.
What was the weekend then?
Well, it's carb loading.
Carb loading.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's a cheat weekend. They say if you try to go 7 days a week with that, you'll never be able to maintain it.
Right.
But if you allow yourself to have a few pizza moments.
Well, I'll tell you, too, like I had those 3 eggs and I finished that cookie. So that was my breakfast.
Good for you.
Yep, it's great.
Good for you.
I mean, I'm fatter now, but I'm pretty happy.
Well,
I feel good.
No, it's fine.
I feel good, aside from the
It's
weird
the antibiotics.
sign. You think it is?
It is.
I have noticed, like, my impulse control seems a little low.
Even with food?
Everything. Everything.
Yes, when he's on
Just
antibiotics.
everything. I finally came to the conclusion. I was journaling on Saturday morning where I actually Oh, I do
with
that.
your pizza.
I actually wrote. I was like,
oh, not like food journaling, but journal.
No.
Okay, got ya.
Just writing. And one of the things I wrote was like, just because I feel like something's okay doesn't mean it's okay.
That's
like
that's a deep thing right there.
We're going to have to maintain some discipline, even though our emotional state is not currently helping with that. Like, we're going to have to say, like, hey, I feel fine about this, but that doesn't make it okay.
And dear journal, I've eaten pizza again.
No, that's fine. I hadn't started with the pizza yet.
Okay.
So that was...
Well, I'm glad you had a good weekend with that.
I still feel good about it.
Good.
I didn't eat, like, all the pizza.
But the pizza's so...
Portion control. You eat, like, a little bit at a time. So, and I mean, I ate all weekend on $5.
You are supposed to eat smaller meals more often.
I totally
sound
did that.
great.
The Riot talks about wanting a day off, but when do we get a day off from them?
Whoa! You suck at this!
It's the worst of the Riot on Radio U.
But Nikki, you know what Grey's Anatomy and pizza have in common?
It just won't go away.
I just can't. Well, that's a good one. I was going to say I just can't get enough, but I can't stop.
Yeah, I guess.
know it's not good for me, but I can't stop.
Well, I saw over the weekend that Grey's Anatomy was picked up for, is it the 15th season?
15th season.
Which means it's tied with an old show called ER. Even though this part, the Grey's Anatomy is the old show too. But ER was an older show on NBC, and I think it still has one more season past what Grey's Anatomy will get into.
So they just need to, they want to break that record. They got to keep renewing it.
And I think that's probably what they're trying to do.
Don't they have like all new people on there now? Like it's not.
But some of the criticism was they fired two of the main doctors on the TV show. Doctor. They fired two of them, and that's probably to keep the cost down lower. So you bring in, newer people
says here,
who don't have as high pay.
These are photos of longtime stars Jessica Capshaw and Sarah Drew are due to leave the show at the end of the current season.
Yes.
So that's the show that's happening right now. And then the historic 15th season will be this fall.
Yeah, the next season.
In which they'll just keep...
The one lady?
Yeah.
The one person? I haven't watched it in years, so I don't remember I don't even know what's going on.
Well, Nikki, this would be your chance to pull a Sydney.
Hop back in.
You can get in
I'm
and
watching
just...
15 years of a show, 15 seasons.
That's amazing that show has been on for 15 years. Like, what are you doing watching that? Like, what are you doing?
I don't even know if it brings in the same amount of numbers.
It's got to be bringing in some people, or else
if ABC just wants to have the prestige of being then the longest running show. Is it the longest running show or longest running medical show?
It will be tied with ER for the longest running medical drama.
Okay.
So ER went 15 seasons. Grey's Anatomy is going to go 15 seasons. So what they have to do if they want to beat ER is they got to run with it next year. Then they still have to renew it one more time.
Or one more episode. Like they don't have to go the whole season.
I don't know.
That screams to me a special.
I can't. I can't watch medical dramas because it's too dramatic. I always feel like they just have pulled the medical journal off the wall and they flip it open and they're like,
let's go with this.
All right, let's see here. Going. And this week's disease is onomatopoeias. What? It's an inflammation that sounds like it's spelled. Doctor, please, no.
This. Oh, no.
I'm sorry, it's true.
Well, Tammy just texted, she still watches it. It's on Netflix if we want to catch up. That seems daunting, Tammy. I can't catch up with 15 seasons.
I don't want to. I'm good.
It's like I can't lose sleep over it, that they're too long of episodes. I have no desire.
I got 2 episodes left in Lost in Space. I'm already bored just talking about it right now.
Are you going to finish it, or are you just going to let it
sit? Lost in Space?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about bored with Grey's Anatomy. I just
want to make sure you were going to finish Lost in Space.
Oh, I'm absolutely loving Lost in Space. Really genuinely enjoying it.
And that was 10 episodes?
Only 10 episodes.
I
need 15
Tammy,
seasons.
Grey's Anatomy, that's manageable. We can do 10 episodes. I can't do 10 to 15 years of it.
Seasons.
It's just too much.
Think of how much drama. Think of how many people almost die, who you think are going to
come
live,
back from the
and
dead.
Then suddenly die again.
The Riot's motto, Carpe Cupcake. Those are words to live by. Radio U.
Now, I told you, there's been something that I've been really meaning to do for a long time, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And over the weekend, I finally did it. So Just back up off me.
Here it is.
I saw your name.
What? No, you were supposed to see Ready Player One. You didn't see it?
No.
Oh, I knew you were going to lie. Come on. What did you see?
Have I lied?
You said you were going to see it. You did. And
No,
when
I
you're
didn't.
making it implied, like, I finally saw this movie so everybody could stop asking me about it.
Yep.
And I'm not even saying, like, it's an amazing movie, but it was something that you read the book and we were totally going into seeing it and you missed out on it. And I needed that closure
Yeah.
to see how you liked it. Mm-hmm. So you saw the wrong one, though. You saw an old movie?
Well, I mean, it was from 2016.
Okay.
And it was the highest grossing, I think it might be the highest grossing animated film ever in Japan. And I finally watched it.
Great.
And it was on Google Play, and I got a coupon so that I was able to rent it for $1.49. And it is...
Despite you having Movie Pass, the Ready Player One was already built into it, and you didn't have to spend any extra money on it.
It is true they have recliners at the movie theater, but I had a Little Caesars pizza and a recliner at my house. And so I was just like, you know what? Like, it just seems like a lot of work to have to...
What'd you think of the movie?
It's amazing.
Is it?
It is amazing. It is easily one of the best animated movies I've ever seen. It was crazy. And what's funny is if you watch the trailers, they sell it as some like body swap comedy romance where it's like, oh, this guy wakes up one day as this girl and this girl wakes up as this guy, and they randomly, as they sleep, they'll switch places. So they never know when it's going to happen. So he's a guy who lives in Tokyo. She's a girl that lives in the countryside. And at any given moment, they will swap. And the biggest thing for me was like, I don't really go in for comedy very much. And Japanese comedy especially is very
different.
It's kinetic. It's very physical. It's really not my thing. And I thought, well, everybody loves this movie. And by everybody, I mean in Japan. You guys are like, I don't know what it is. And I just thought, well, I really want to see it. And so I finally did. And it is not remotely the movie that you think it is. Kind of the first 30 minutes go about the way you would think, and then there is something that changes, and it was so compelling. I couldn't stop watching it. I was glued to it.
Sure it wasn't the pizza?
It wasn't the pizza.
Well, I'm glad you finally got to see it because you mentioned that one a while ago.
I've looked at it. You don't know how many times I have tried to watch it, and it finally got a commercial release in the United States, but I also didn't want to go spend $30 on a Blu-ray for a movie that I'm like, I'm not going to.
Just weren't sure?
Yeah, and so I was able to finally rent it and watch it.
That was Your Name. That's the name of it.
Your Name. Oh, my gosh, it's so...
Well, you
good.
checked one thing off the list from the weekend.
I did.
Glad on that.
I did. I checked that off. I've been saying I was going to watch that movie, and I finally did.
Good for you.
And you know what? It was a foreign film, Nikki. You should be applauding me.
I just thought you were going to go to the movies to finish up that, and you're not. So
I really need to get to see Ready Player One this week because the Avengers is out on Friday.
You're not going to. The time has passed. I'm writing it off. You just move on to Avenger stuff and just go with that. If you even do that, I feel like your movie watching is really backed off.
Like my movie game is down?
Yeah, and you have, you're paying a monthly fee, so I don't know if you're getting your monies out of that.
Yeah. What's your gym membership costing you right now?
I don't have one.
Well, good for you.
So I'm not wasting any money.
I was going to say, there's plenty of people who've got a gym membership that's based on good intentions.
Yeah, because no one wants to work out. Everyone wants to go to the movies.
Yeah, well, I got both. I got a gym membership and a movie pass. I'm doing great, guys.
Stop pressuring me.
I'm doing great. Life is good.
Well, I'm glad to see you had a great, fulfilling weekend with that.
I did, Nikki. Think about that. I can say that over the weekend I watched a foreign film. It was subtitled. It was very moving. I was emotionally drawn in by the characters.
As you were eating your Little Caesars pizza.
Also foreign? That was Italian? So some of the best of foreign culture coming together in that space.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a Renaissance evening, really.
You had a great weekend.
Come on.
Starting your day with the worst of the riot is a great idea because it's guaranteed to get better from here. It's The Riot on Radio U.
So I'm reading a book right now, which you can also get through shop.radiou.com, and a portion of your purchase will benefit the U, called Emotionally Healthy spirituality. Here's the sub thing. It says, it's impossible to be spiritually mature while remaining emotionally immature. Nikki, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like, it is so good. It's so good, I'm talking about it. I got to tell you guys about this book. It has been, now I'm halfway through it.
It could take a turn.
I'll tell you, if the back half gets weird, I don't know.
It's not he doesn't know about that part.
I don't know yet. There is this element of like, hey, I don't want to recommend anything till I'm all the way through it. But so far, it has been really good. And it really just talks about how most of us are emotionally immature. Like we just have not grown up to be emotionally mature people. And oh my gosh, it's fascinating. One of the things, yesterday it was so good. Basically, I've just taken to the point where I have to sit down and read it with my journal because I'm reading and I have to write about it as I'm reading through it. And one of the statements yesterday that I can't stop thinking about is they were talking about one of the kind of like hallmarks of emotional maturity is that you can listen without reacting and you can speak without respond without antagonizing. So listen without reacting, respond without antagonizing.
So maybe out earlier.
Boom! Like, mind blown.
So earlier this morning when you told me you hadn't gone and seen Ready Player One and I emotionally reacted, maybe I should not have.
And then you responded by antagonizing.
Maybe this is a good book for all of us.
Now, Nikki, to be clear, I actually, when reading that, I was like, now... I can't bring that kind of emotional maturity into our broadcast format
because
it
just doesn't fit.
Nikki and I won't have anything to talk about. If we just affirm each other, the show's going to last about 5 minutes. So I get that.
Unless that's what you would like, a shorter riot.
You know, Nikki, I feel like you and I, well, certainly I do. I suspend certain niceties at the door and pick them up on our way out.
And then we're fine with that.
I mostly treat Nikki a lot better upstairs than I do down here. Mostly. Sometimes down here makes it up there.
But when the doors close and we're done with the riot and done with work and it's personal,
right? That's a
great way to start looking at things.
I mean, think about that. Somebody is expressing to you how they feel, whatever. You listen to them without reacting. And by reacting, meaning that you basically don't lash back out at them.
Sure.
And then responding without antagonizing. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I know anybody who does that at all. It's like, I feel like most of the environments I've spent a ton of my time in is people always respond and antagonize in the response. Dude.
It's our nature.
Oh, it is our nature. It absolutely is. And I think most of us probably don't push past that at all. And man, I just cannot stop thinking about it. That idea of like, hey, I'm going to listen to you. And instead of reacting to it, like I am so mature and have reached such a good place that one, I don't have to freak out about what you're saying. And then two, when I respond to you, I don't have to dig at you when I respond. Man, the whole internet's out. I mean, like, that's gone.
That's every comment section.
That's the end of the internet right
now, there. Every time you talk about a book, people are always like texting 2 days later. What was the name of the book?
It's called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality, and the guy's name is Peter Scazzero, Scazzero. I'll tell you what, like, it's not, I haven't, like I said, I haven't finished it. I am, Kendall says that I'm 45% of the way through, but I thought I would get way further through it yesterday, but I couldn't. I had to take too much time to process the stuff that I was reading. And so I'm actually looking forward to getting back into it tonight, even though I'm like, man, maybe I just want to read back through the last chapter again to think about it some more.
You remember that time you started your morning with a gas station breakfast sandwich and immediately regretted it? Yeah, it's like that. The Riot. RadioU.
Nikki, when it comes to tortillas, do you want flour or corn?
Usually flour.
Yeah. I don't even know if I've ever had a straight corn tortilla.
Probably so.
I bet I have.
Yeah.
We should probably go get some Mexican just to find out today.
Just to double check.
Head on over and then demand a pure corn tortilla and tell them that I'm...
Are you saying, like, if you got a hard taco shell at Taco Bell, that's not the real thing?
Well, no, maybe not. I want a gluten-free, no flour in it.
Then you're not getting anything.
Just a corn tortilla. That's a thing, right? I don't know. There was a man in Texas, 53 years old, this man, who over the course of the last, how many years? 10 years? He's been stealing tortillas. And you're like, man, how do you steal tortillas? No, it's way crazier than that.
It's a really very weird story.
It really is. So he worked for the Juvenile Justice Department. Well, let's see. He worked for... No, this is... Okay. He worked for the Juvenile Justice Department.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he did was he handled orders. So he would order tortillas every week. He would get around 800 tortillas. And he's been having that order fulfilled for like however many years.
It's not just tortillas. Like he'd get like fajitas. I think it would be like a completed sort of thing.
Oh, okay. See, I thought it was just the tortillas, but no, it was. It was okay.
So basically, this guy had been ordering this food delivery, I think, for maybe almost 9 years. And one day he took a day off, August 7th of 2017. He took the day off to go to a medical appointment. While he was gone, a driver from the food service who would deliver the fajitas came at that time. Another employee said, hey, we don't, this is a wrong delivery. It was 800 pounds of fajitas.
So, okay. See, I actually, when I misunderstood this, I thought he was just getting the tortillas, but you're right.
No, the full thing.
The fajitas were frozen, and so what he would do is they went to his house and found that he had all these freezers.
Like a bajillion of them.
So he would have all these frozen fajitas, and then he would sell them to people that would then sell them to us.
Yes.
That's the real crime.
But imagine, like, you're filling in for this guy, an order comes in that you think are wrong, and then the food company who delivered it, a driver, it's Labatt Food Service, said, hey, we've been delivering this order for like almost nearly a decade.
Almost 10 years.
So it's not wrong. And then they realized this guy had been stealing the food every time that it was being delivered.
So he basically, his way of laundering money from his government job was
through fajitas.
That's right. The government would pay for the fajitas. He would take them home, and then he would sell the fajitas.
And it was worth... They figured out, once they realized what he'd been doing, he's stolen almost $1.3 million worth of food.
Think about that, dude.
He had been sentenced to 50 years in prison for stealing the food.
That's such a dumb thing to go to prison for, though. Like,
that seems like a long time, but that's a lot of money.
But it is a lot. It's complicated,
that's a lot of money.
Right?
And he was with the Juvenile Justice Department, so I don't know if that tacks on a little something extra.
It might.
If you're like, hey, you're doing something really bad and you're there.
And you're
so,
the
50
worst
years.
thing is you're stealing all these fajitas and you don't even offer us one.
Not even getting any.
I'd love the judge to say that.
He said that,
maybe if you drop a couple fajitas off, maybe we could, work something out.
The guy said that he was very apologetic and he waived his right, like he knew
he didn't go to trial.
He was being honest finally with being guilty, and he said that it just got away from him and he just kept stealing it.
Yeah, I know. What I'll tell you, the first fajita you steal is hard, but everyone after that gets a lot easier.
So we're supposed to say no if someone offers you a fajita? Be like, I'm not going down that dangerous path.
Where'd this fajita come from? Where did you get it? The judge said that this seems like something out of a Saturday Night Live skit if it wasn't so serious.
And it was such a large amount of money for all the deliveries that he'd been stealing.
All those fajitas, man. That is crazy. So
I would feel so much pressure. Like, how do you move all those items?
Well, that's how you end up.
I'm not a salesperson, though. That's why.
You just call around like, hey, I noticed you guys are obviously selling microwaved fajitas.
I've got some.
I can undercut your supplier.
I
what do you
think he's
say?
selling them out of his trunk. Like, I couldn't do that.
Thanks for listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Oh no! I missed it! Do it again!
You can hear us live every day on the RadioU network through the RadioU app or at riot.radiou.com.
That's my new personal rules. I can't see the same movie that a woman sees.